Have you ever heard of someone who changed the rules of what people thought was possible? This is the story of Chyna, a woman who broke all the rules in wrestling when most people thought only men could be strong wrestlers. Standing nearly 6 feet tall with muscles that most men would envy, Chyna wasn't just different, she was revolutionary. Chyna was born as Joanie Laurer in 1969 in Rochester, New York. As a kid, her life wasn't easy. Her dad had serious problems with drugs and drinking, which made home a tough and unpredictable place to be. This unstable environment taught Chyna early on that the world could be a harsh place. When she became a teenager, Chyna grew very tall, 5 feet 11 inches. This made her stand out at school and not in a way she liked. While other girls her age worried about normal teenage things, Chyna worried about being too tall and too different. She felt awkward and out of place among her classmates, and this feeling of being an outsider would follow her for many years. One day, after a big fight with her mom, teenage Chyna packed her bags and left to live with her dad. Sadly, she never saw her mom again. This painful split from her mother left a deep wound that never fully healed. This was just the beginning of a life filled with both amazing success and deep sadness. Did you know Chyna could speak 3 languages fluently? She graduated from college with a degree in Spanish literature and also spoke French and German perfectly. Chyna was actually quite smart and focused on her education. She worked hard and got into the University of Tampa, where she graduated in 1992. But college wasn't all positive for her. During this time, she experienced a terrible trauma when she was assaulted at a party, which made her distrust men even more than before. After college, Chyna tried many different jobs, bouncing from one to another in search of something that felt right. She worked as a cocktail waitress, delivered singing telegrams, imagine her showing up to sing birthday messages, sold cars, and even started training to be a flight attendant. She even joined the Peace Corps in Costa Rica, where she taught reading and writing to local children. Nothing made her happy until she discovered something amazing. Her body was perfect for building muscle. She moved in with her sister Kathy in New Hampshire, and they started going to the gym together. There, she met a personal trainer named Jerry, who became her boyfriend. They would wake up super early at 4:30 in the morning to work out. They pushed each other every day, going to the gym 6 days a week. Soon, Chyna had developed 185 pounds of strong, impressive muscles that most bodybuilders would admire. Chyna discovered wrestling by complete accident. One night, she was just lying on her couch flipping through TV channels when she saw wrestling for the first time. In that instant, she knew what she wanted to do with her life. While many wrestlers grow up watching the sport and dreaming of being in the ring, Chyna's discovery was totally random. That night on her couch, she was immediately drawn to the bright lights, the cheering crowds, and the theatrical performances. Something about wrestling spoke to her in a way nothing else had. It combined physical strength with entertainment, perfect for someone with her unique abilities. Chyna called a famous wrestler named Killer Kowalski, who trained new wrestlers. He agreed to train her for $2,000, which was a lot of money for her at the time. When she walked into his gym, something special happened. Jerry, her boyfriend, later said, "From the minute we walked through that door, he couldn't stop staring at Joanie. He had this look in his eyes like she's different. She's special. It was the weirdest chemistry I've ever seen. Training was really hard and often painful. Chyna was usually the only woman there, practicing with men who didn't take it easy on her. She would be bruised, battered, and exhausted after every practice, but she loved it. Her first professional match was unusual. She had to wrestle a man who was dressed as a woman because Kowalski couldn't find another female wrestler for her to compete against. Chyna got her big chance by waiting outside a locker room for a whole hour. In January 1997, Chyna went to a WWE wrestling show in Massachusetts. She wasn't just there as a fan. She had a plan. After the show ended, she waited patiently outside the locker room for an hour until she spotted 2 famous wrestlers, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, who were part of a popular group called Degeneration X. When they met, they discovered that Triple H and Chyna were from the same hometown and had the same trainer. It seemed like fate. The 2 wrestlers were so impressed by Chyna's strong appearance and passion that they invited her to their hotel to watch videos of her matches. They immediately wanted her to join them as their bodyguard on TV. Chyna's boyfriend remembered. She came home that night and never slept. We knew her life was about to change. She was so excited and also a little scared. This chance meeting would completely transform her life. The WWE boss, Vince McMahon, wasn't sure at first about bringing Chyna into the company. He thought wrestling was for men and didn't believe fans would accept a woman bodyguard or want to see a woman fighting men. But Triple H and Shawn Michaels kept pushing for Chyna. with Shawn having particular influence as the company's top star at the time. Finally, McMahon agreed to hire her. In her autobiography, Chyna claimed that WWE's rival company, WCW, had also offered her a position as the only female member of their popular New World Order group. She had verbally agreed to join them, but changed her mind after meeting with Shane McMahon, Vince's son, who convinced her to sign with WWE instead. Within just 24 hours of signing her contract, Chyna's whole life changed. She went from training in small gyms to traveling the country with WWE's biggest stars. On the road, she formed a close bond with Triple H, and they soon started dating. Unlike many other wrestlers who would drink alcohol or take pills after shows, Triple H and Chyna stayed clean, which helped strengthen their relationship. For the first time in her life, Chyna felt truly happy and accepted. One of her friends said that Triple H loved her exactly as she was. The wrestling world became like a family to her, something she had been searching for her whole life. Other wrestlers became like brothers to her, filling the void left by her broken family relationship. She was presented as someone unique and powerful, not just another female performer. At first, many fans made fun of Chyna because they thought she looked too masculine. This hurt her feelings so much that she had surgery on her jaw to look more feminine. Chyna's first year in WWE wasn't easy. Jim Ross, who worked in management, later said that Chyna rubbed people the wrong way by trying to dictate her role. She insisted on wrestling against men, not just women, which was unheard of at the time. Some fans would boo her and make cruel comments about her appearance, which deeply affected her confidence. Feeling pressure to look more conventionally feminine, Chyna decided to have cosmetic surgery on her jaw. Over time, Vince McMahon warmed up to her because they both loved bodybuilding. He began to see that with her incredible strength and the fans' growing acceptance, people could believe she could compete against men. In 1999, Chyna did something amazing. She entered the Royal Rumble match, which was normally only for men. During this match, she even eliminated a huge wrestler named Mark Henry, showing everyone she could hang with the biggest stars. Chyna became super popular and started appearing on magazine covers, TV shows, and became a spokesperson for the company. She felt proud but also pressured representing women in a world dominated by men. In interviews, she admitted feeling responsible for all women who might follow in her footsteps. If she failed, it might close doors for other women in wrestling. Did you know that Chyna was informed she was fired from WWE by fax? Not even a phone call or meeting. As Chyna's career was soaring, her personal life started to have problems. She and Triple H had bought a house together and seemed committed to each other, but they disagreed about having children. He wanted kids, but she didn't. Their relationship had been rock solid, with Chyna trusting Triple H completely. Vince Russo, who was WWE's lead writer at the time, noticed something interesting. He never talked directly to Chyna about her work, but always went through Triple H. He said Triple H was kind of like her manager. On WWE TV shows, Triple H was put in a storyline where he married Stephanie McMahon, who was the boss's daughter. As they acted out this fake relationship on TV, something unexpected happened. Triple H and Stephanie started to like each other in real life. Vince Russo later said, "It was an unraveling, and it was an unraveling that she never recovered from." Chyna became suspicious as the months went by and eventually found a love letter from Stephanie to Triple H that was a year old. She was devastated to discover that Triple H had been interested in Stephanie while still dating her. This betrayal broke her heart and shattered the trust and security she had finally found. This put Chyna in a terrible position at work. Being the ex-girlfriend of the boss's daughter's new boyfriend made things awkward and difficult. When her WWE contract ended in 2001, they didn't offer her a new one, even though she was the women's champion at the time. She was informed of her release via fax, a cold way to end what had been the most stable period in her life. Chyna asked for $1 million in her next WWE contract. This was considered way too much by management and contributed to her departure. After leaving WWE, Chyna felt lost without her wrestling family. She moved to California and tried to become an actress, but only got small roles in low-budget movies. She started drinking too much and became very anxious about her future. An old wrestling friend named Sean Waltman, known as X-Pac, reconnected with her. They started dating even though they weren't good for each other. Both were struggling with their own problems, and together they often made things worse instead of better. Around this time, Chyna also argued with Vince McMahon about posing for Playboy magazine. McMahon told her that if she wanted to be champion, she shouldn't do the photo shoot. Despite this warning, Chyna went ahead anyway, later saying she made more money from that one opportunity than from her entire 5-year wrestling career. As Chyna struggled to find work in America, she decided to move to Japan, where she briefly revitalized her career with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Waltman went with her. The Japanese promotion treated her with great respect, featuring her in matches against male competitors. In Japan, Chyna became so popular that even people who never watched wrestling came to see her. After a match with Japanese legend Masahiro Chono, he said, "Normally my wife would never watch wrestling, even mine. Just on that day, she wanted to come to the show. Later, I asked who she was actually cheering for. She was totally cheering for Joanie." Chono described it as one of his most challenging matches, and Chyna considered it one of her greatest achievements. Unfortunately, Chyna's substance abuse problems intensified during this time, affecting her reliability. She began missing scheduled appearances, resulting in her contract being terminated. The couple returned to America, where things quickly got worse. Completely alone and struggling with addiction, Chyna appeared on reality TV shows like The Surreal Life and Celebrity Rehab. These appearances showed how far she had fallen since her wrestling days. She often seemed impaired and confused. She briefly joined another wrestling company called TNA in 2011, but only appeared twice before they let her go. She made choices that effectively ended any chance of returning to WWE, even for a Hall of Fame induction. In a candid interview, Triple H addressed questions about Chyna potentially entering the WWE Hall of Fame, saying, "When my 8-year-old kid sees the Hall of Fame and goes on the internet to look at Chyna, what comes up? I'm not criticizing her personal choices, it's just the reality of the situation." Chyna became an English teacher in Japan for 3 years and even converted to the Mormon religion, trying to start a new life. Desperate for a fresh start, Chyna moved to Japan to teach English and embraced Mormonism. For about 3 years, she seemed to find some peace in this new life, away from the wrestling world and painful memories. However, visa issues eventually forced her to return to California. She tried many times to get clean from drugs and alcohol, but the struggle was overwhelming. Her sister was very worried about her, describing Chyna as being in a constant downward spiral, totally in denial. When her sister tried to take her to rehab, Chyna refused help and walked out, the last time they would ever see each other. Friends and family watched helplessly as Chyna battled her demons. Each public appearance showed a woman who had drifted further from the confident, groundbreaking athlete who had once commanded respect in the wrestling world. On April 20th, 2016, Chyna was found in her apartment in Redondo Beach, California. She had accidentally taken a dangerous mix of medications and alcohol. The medical report showed a combination of alcohol, anti-anxiety medication, sleeping pills, and painkillers. She was only 46 years old. The wrestling world was shocked and saddened. Many former colleagues shared stories about how kind and dedicated she was behind the scenes. Even those who had distanced themselves from her during her difficult years acknowledged her incredible impact on wrestling. In 2019, 3 years after her death, Chyna was finally put into the WWE Hall of Fame as part of the Degeneration X group. That same year, women wrestlers headlined WrestleMania, WWE's biggest show, for the first time ever, something that wouldn't have been possible without Chyna paving the way years earlier. Chyna's story is both inspiring and sad. She showed the world that women could be just as strong and impressive as men in the wrestling ring. She opened doors for all the women wrestlers who came after her, but she also faced many personal struggles and didn't live to see how much she had changed wrestling forever. There will never be another wrestler like Chyna, the ninth wonder of the world.